types of whales, and they have only one blowhole at the top of their head. Other types of whales, and they have only one blowhole at the top of their head. Those are the main differences. So I'm going to show pictures of some baleen whales. The most well-known baleen whale is the blue whale. Blue whale is the largest animal on planet. It is 98 feet long, and it can weigh up to 200 tons, which is the 33 elephants combined. The second most well-known baleen whale is the humpback whale. Those are the great singers of the oceans. They're amazing creatures. The right whales, some of which are endangered, and the fin whales. These are all baleen whale species, most well-known ones. The toothed whales are the sperm whale, a very unusually shaped animal with a large forehead. The narwhal, they carry an overextended teeth, which is also called a tusk. The killer whale, which everybody is familiar with, believe it or not, killer whales are actually dolphins, not whales. And dolphins are also in the same category. And my favorite animal, it's the beluga whale. Beluga whale is a toothed whale. Beluga whales are remarkable because they have a different property than the other whales. They can actually turn their head around to look. No other whale can do that. And they produce these very interesting sounds, and they are called the canaries of the sea because of the sounds that they produce. So I want to draw your attention to a certain species of right whale, the North Atlantic right whale. It is one of the world's most endangered large whale species. There is only about 400 whales remaining in the entire world. There is the specifics that you can see. It weighs up to 70 tons, and it can live up to 70 years. It is up to 52 feet long, but unfortunately, there is a lot of threats to this whale. The entanglement in fishing gear, the vessel strikes. Of course, we are degrading the habitats with pollution. The ocean noise interferes with their migration, the climate change, and any other changes in the ocean that the people cause. Unfortunately, these whales are disappearing from our world very quickly. So what can we do? What can we do to stop, to slow down this degradation of the oceans? There is a lot of things we can do, which will add up to make a big impact in the oceans. For example, people always talk about recycling. People are, of course, trying to recycle, but there's two other components to it. It's reducing what we use and reuse the containers. That will have a huge impact. For example, by reducing, I mean just buy recyclable containers, conserve water, conserving water, don't use the water unnecessarily, turning down the heat and turning off the lights when you're not using them will all have an impact on the ocean. Reusing means you always use the reusable shopping bags. Do not use the one-time usable, the plastic shopping bags. Always reuse packaging and use recyclable, rechargeable batteries instead of the one-time batteries. Are a few things that you can do. Recycling we are familiar with, but I'm going to mention a few things. Not only we should recycle the aluminiums, the plastic bottles, the glass, whatever is recyclable, we can compost food. We can help by composting food and not throwing it into garbage. And we can donate unused items rather than throwing into the garbage, because some of those items people can use, and some of them are even recyclable. The clothes can be recyclable. So these are the very simple steps that we can take to help our oceans. And I hope you will talk with your families about some of these items and try to make an impact on the world. This is all I have today, and I will be happy to answer any questions, especially about Toastmasters, which I didn't talk about.
All right. Does anyone have any questions? It doesn't need to be necessarily about Toastmasters. It can be about either the her presentation or whatever you guys have in mind.
Whatever you want to ask, you can ask.
Okay, so I'll start off. So, how long have you been doing like this, like researching and um,
Research?
yeah, how long have you been doing it for?
I have been doing it for more than 20 years by now. Yes. So I started my career as a molecular biologist, and then I wanted to work on the oceans, ocean animals. So I switched and did my master's in marine sciences, and then I am actually originally from Turkey, so I'm a foreigner. I moved to this country for a PhD. I moved in 2013, 2003. Oh my gosh. So since then, I've been in the US and I finished my PhD in oceanography. And then I started working at the Mystic Aquarium. I used to work on plankton species, little tiny plankton species, if anybody is familiar with it. And but now I am working with whales, with seals, and larger creatures in the oceans.
I have a question.
Sure.
So, what's your favorite animal in the ocean or anywhere?
Beluga whale, of course.
Okay.
Beluga whales are my favorite animals. I learned all about them when I started my job as the research scientist at Mystic Aquarium. And I have been learning ever since. They are amazing animals. They are so smart, almost as smart as humans, maybe more. And all these things that they can do. And they are also under threat. Some of the populations are under threat. Especially in Alaska, there is a region where there's only 300 of them left. That region is called Cook Inlet, and those beluga whales are endangered right now. And we are trying to develop some techniques that will help with their conservation and hopefully influence their population in the end.
Another question for you. What sort of inspired you to sort of go through this journey?
I've always loved oceans. I have always been in love with oceans and marine life. I've grown up by the Mediterranean Sea. It could have been my biggest inspiration because I've grown up by the sea and investigating all the creatures in the sea. We didn't have whales. I barely ever saw dolphins, but I was always interested in the other creatures like the crabs and the little fish, and I would go diving. I would snorkel all the time. I would love just spending time in the oceans. I would stay in water so long that I would go blue because I would be so cold that my mom would have to uh, dump a whole bunch of warm water to warm me up. That was how much I loved the oceans. So that the only thing I ever wanted to do is work with marine animals. Yes,
I have a question.
sure.
So, like, what got you inspired to like make this speech?
Oh, I love talking about oceans and whales. And I love talking with kids because you guys are amazing. You are still curious. You want to learn stuff. You ask questions. And I love interacting with kids about this. I just thought you would be interested in learning more about whales and dolphins and oceans in general. There's a lot more to talk about, but this is what I put together.
I have a question. Do you enjoy being an oceanologist?
Could you repeat that, honey?
Do you enjoy being an oceanologist?
Yes, I really enjoy it. I know a lot about oceans because of my PhD, and now I'm learning a lot about the whales and dolphins, which is great.
One
I have a question too.
Yes?
And Do you like to swim and
Oh my God, yes.
with the dolphins and the sharks and other ocean in the
I
ocean?
wouldn't swim with the sharks. It's kind of dangerous, don't you think? But I did swim with dolphins once, not in the ocean, but in a pool. It was still fun. We cannot swim with our whales here because we aren't allowed to. We are not allowed to bother them like that. They kind of like to hang out together. They don't usually swim with people, but maybe in the wild one day I can swim with a large whale. I would love to swim with a very large whale.
I have a question.
Yes?
So, were some things there under the water scary?
I am rarely scared of things under the water, but because we didn't really have any dangerous animals in Turkey. But here I hear sharks can be a problem, right? So you gotta watch out for them. But in general, there's nothing that can hurt you if you didn't have sharks around.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's really not harmful at all.
I was wondering, did public speaking help you when you were in your career?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Toastmasters really helped me develop the skills saying less ahs and ums. I still use so's, but not as often. I'm aware when I say things that I'm not supposed to say. I am trying to pace my talk, so I'm not going too fast because that was one common mistake that I make. I still make it. So it's really learning some skills is really helping me with the presentations that I'm giving, especially to the public.
I have a question.
Sure.
You can go. Okay, my question is, how often do you make a speech?
I make a speech pretty much every month, one way or another. In Toastmasters, sometimes I go one after another, but sometimes I give a break. Right now, I haven't been giving speeches for a very long time. So, but I do give scientific speeches, which means I give speeches in conferences about 1 to 3 times a year, um, anywhere in the world. We are not traveling right now, obviously, so everything is on Zoom, but I keep giving speeches on Zoom. Yes, both scientific and public.
I have a question.
Yeah.
How many times do you go to the beach or something to, see underwater and meet some fishes?
Oh, not as much as I would like. I used to do it very often, but I can't do it anymore. Plus, this side of the world isn't as productive as Mediterranean is. And I'm even if I do scuba dive, I haven't been doing it for a long time, but I scuba dive. I got my certification. When we went diving, it was rare that I saw anything that interesting. But I would love to, because there are different regions of the around that you can go and see more living animals. The largest thing that I've ever seen around here was I think it was an octopus. But I love it. I love it.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Wait, so you said you saw an octopus? So,
Around here, yes. Yes,
How
I used
big
to
was
always
that?
see.
How big was the octopus and what color?
It's gray. You don't really see them in different colors. It wasn't that big. Maybe it was 2 handfuls big, so it was a baby one. In the aquarium, we have a giant octopus, which is very cool. I didn't see any of that in the wild. Great to talk with you guys.
Okay. Thank you so much for the presentation. We learned a lot through the global warming, the types of different species, and just more information. Thank you so much for today's meeting. Would you like to say anything to the students?
Yes. So keep your curiosity. Keep the questions coming. Ask your adults. Ask your adults and then try to inspire them, because you guys can do it. You're the new future, you're the new generation. You can change adults' minds. You can make your parents use less plastic. You can ask them to use reusable bags instead of the plastic bags. And just be careful with recycling. It's really important. Every little plastic that you throw in the garbage might end up in the oceans. And we don't want that because it's really hurting the animals. But you guys are doing great. So many of you here. I'm so impressed with this club. There's a lot of members. Public speaking is so important. It's going to help you for the rest of your lives. Great job.
Okay. All right.